6:04, about to roll over to 6:05. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. About to close it out before the holiday. What's up? Starting off at 77 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge, and we are not slowing down heading into the holiday. Oh, no. Quite the contrary. We got a full slate for you. We got Haggai coming in for a cup of tech gumbo. Rolfe McCollister is going to be on the hotline at 7:15. Thought we were talking about his column with the mayor, but he sent me a couple emails. That conversation might go down a different path. We'll see where it goes. Rolf going to be on at 7:15. Crimestoppers 7:35, 8 o'clock hour. We're going to hear from Mary Durusau over at the Old State Capitol. We're going to hear from one Jerome Zee Zeringue, state representative. And we're going to hear from author Howard Blum about the Idaho 4. Right now, though, we start off the morning with top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Well, good news, bad news here to start things off, and that is with the tropics. The bad news, we are now looking at a 50-50 chance of our next named storm with a disturbance, an area of low pressure forecast to develop along a weakening frontal boundary near Florida or the Atlantic coast of the southeastern United States by early this weekend. 10% chance it becomes a named storm by this weekend, 50-50 shot it becomes a named storm over the next 7 days. That's the bad news. The good news is it's got no chance of hitting us. It's on the East Coast now. This was that kidney bean looking formation that was over Florida. Yeah, now it's completely removed from Florida and pushing up the East Coast.
Number 4.
Heavy machinery staged along the closed May Street broke the dams that are keeping the University Lake and City Park lakes separate. Now the two flow together. Water rushed down a pathway through large culverts Wednesday morning. City Park Lake has always been about a foot higher than University Lake, and this is going to bring them to the same elevation. By the way, the May Street project includes building a new road with improved intersections at East Lakeshore and Dalrymple Drive, and constructing a bridge with a 5-foot clearance for boat traffic, but that's still a long way to go under construction.
Number 3.
A person was brought to the hospital after nearly drowning at Liberty Lagoon yesterday afternoon. First responders said they responded to the adult around 4:10 p.m. According to a Liberty Lagoon spokesperson, the person was a 19-year-old in a kids' play zone under a water structure when they suffered a medical emergency and fell into the water. The head lifeguard and that person's parents ran over, pulled them out of the water, rendered aid, potentially saving their life.
Number 2.
Kevin Kuig, the first West Feliciana Parish president, died on Monday. He was 73 years old. Kuig took office back in 2013 after transitioning from a police jury government model to a parish council. He retired in 2018, just a month before his term was up.
Number 1.
The parish has been voluntarily collecting woody waste piles since September of 2023 with the money available to fund the effort. Now that money is running out, and Mayor President Sid Edwards addressed the issue at a press conference yesterday. Edwards stressed the importance of calling 311 to notify the city of woody waste piles so workers with Republic could get to it as quickly as possible when the city entered contract negotiations with Richards Disposal. Richards is going to pick up small piles of waste, but does not operate boom trucks to pick up the larger collections. What's trending, John?
Well, tomorrow is the self-imposed deadline by Donald Trump as the House battles for votes on the big, beautiful bill.
Man, listen, yesterday I was having a little fun with Congressman Carter, calling it the big, ugly bill.
Right.
It's not just Congressman Carter, it's all of them. All the Democrats are calling it the big, ugly bill. It's like, guys,
I mean,
you need a better marketing department.
Right.
The big, because it looks like a weak response to the big, beautiful bill. Yeah. I would even go so far as to abbreviate it. Call it the bub. The bub.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man. Gotta get your
I don't know if they're gonna
game up.
I don't
right?
yeah, I don't know if they're gonna get this done today, by the way.
Oh.
Because I mean, and it's not a problem of right versus left, it's a problem of right versus far right.
Yeah. There you go.
Where Mike Johnson's at right now, he can only spare probably 3 votes overall, and there's going to be more than that are part of the Freedom Caucus that are going to jam this thing up.
Oh, man. Hey, speaking of jammed up, a judge declined a grant bail to Sean Diddy Combs, meaning the hip-hop mogul won't go free while he awaits sentencing in his sex crimes case. The bond decision came after a jury convicted Combs of federal prostitution-related offenses, but acquitted him of sex trafficking and racketeering charges.
Franz pretty much nailed it yesterday.
He did, didn't
Franz
he?
was on point.
Even before this was...
Before the verdict came out,
Yeah.
he said exactly what was going to be guilty and what was going to be not guilty, and he absolutely nailed it. So
yeah, he did. Wow. So,
yep.
You think we'll get another record from Diddy?
Do what?
Get a single? Think we'll get a single?
No, I
once
don't.
he's-
I
once
don't.
he's out?
I don't. I think he's done. Hopefully, I hope he's done.
I think this pretty much tarnished any type of...
My thing is,
reputation
though,
he had.
can you go back in the past and undo, like, do we have to delete any Diddy tracks from our Spotify, from our Amazon, from our CD collection, whatever the case might be?
Right. Same thing with R. Kelly, right? I mean...
I can't
You
with
know.
R. Kelly. I like the songs too much.
Right. Ignition's got to be, like...
Remix
I mean,
Ignition.
we talked about... Yeah. I mean,
Step in the Name of Love, man. It's
come on. I know. Stuff. Hey, on Wednesday, D1Baseball.com announced their postseason honors. Among them, LSU outfielder Derek Curiel was named Freshman of the Year. Also, freshman right-hand pitcher Kason Evans were named first-team freshman All-American.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Going to be good to have them back heading into next year. And we're going to talk a little more LSU baseball when we talk sports coming up in our next segment. In fact, LSU baseball and a little recruiting news for football, as we are now less than 60 days away from the beginning of football season. Right now, it's 6:12 at Talk 107.3 FM. Before we get you to our break, I want to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. Still time to get that grocery shopping in before the 4th of July. And Mathern's has carried over all their deals that they had last week and in the early part of this week leading up to this coming 4th of July. Ground beef, $3.99 a pound. Chicken wings are $1.99 a pound. You got that 3-pound box of Varon smoked sausage for $11.99. St. Louis style ribs are $2.99 a pound. Ballpark Franks, 2 packages for $4, and chicken leg quarters are 99 cents a pound. Pork strips for pork steaks, $2.49 a pound as well. You can really stack up over at Mathern's right now with the deals they've got going on. If you're firing up the grill for Independence Day tomorrow, and it's not just the meat, y'all. I want those sweet treats as well. The half-gallon of Bluebell ice cream, $5.99 right now. So heating up and cooling off. They've got it going on at Mathern's, and you're earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop when you download the Mathern's Rewards app. It's good at all 3 locations, downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, or in their original location on Highland, just west of Kenilworth. It's Mathern's. Ooh, Blue Place 50 cents off. 617 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along, keeping it with the baseball as we were heading into the break. LSU picking up 3 left-handed pitchers out of the transfer portal since getting back from Omaha. They grabbed a sophomore, Santiago Garcia, out of Oregon. North Dakota State freshman Danny Lackenmeyer, who, by the way, played in the box earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. They both of those guys came out of the bullpen this year. Tennessee freshman Ryler Smart spent the year as a redshirt, but could be a starter. Tigers pitching coach Nate Yeskie says he felt like his staff needed some balance on the left side of the mound. As for their roles, well, we'll see how it plays.
And we go into this thing with kind of a blank canvas, and really how that unfolds is up to each player. So when those guys are able to go out there and produce and do what they want to do, they're going to create more opportunities. And we like the stuff, we like the people, we like the work ethic, and that's a good place to start.
Yes, it's a good place to start, but you're adding them to an already great start. Freshman pitcher William Schmidt was ranked the number 16 prospect in the Major League Baseball draft out of high school by MLB.com last year. Threw 32 1/3 innings for the Tigers. Had some control problems, a 4.73 ERA. Yeskie says this offseason is going to determine if Schmidt can move up that ladder.
It's establishing consistency with his routines, whether that's sketch play, whether that's the weight room, and then just going out there and trusting your stuff. And that's really kind of the same thing that we saw with Cade from last year. And for William, if we can speed up that process, really kind of the focus for him is to make sure that he has a productive fall and hopefully able to carry that over in the spring.
I don't like the comparison, though, because the difference here is Cade Anderson was rebuilding his arm coming off Tommy John surgery. Cade didn't pitch senior year of high school. So he came into LSU on the mend. And he's been a work in progress from that standpoint. Schmidt is a work in progress from a completely different standpoint. I fully believe that summertime and fall ball, Schmidt's going to find what he's looking for, but to me, it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. Keeping with it, though, Yeskie says Schmidt roomed with Anderson on the road this season to kind of get the ropes.
You could kind of be an understudy and get a sense of what's this guy doing, how does he do it, what makes him tick, and you're pretty much riding shotgun. So whether you're watching that guy throw his bullpen, play catch, or really do anything, how he goes about his business is certainly a good blueprint.
Let's push pause right there, come back after the Fox Business Report. She's an easy lover. Huh? Oh, crap. Did I forward you an email from a press conference yesterday? Shit. All right. That's on me. I was supposed this segment is supposed to be 2 cuts from Sid Edwards. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Well, it's like the holidays already here. Head back to the Shop Mills Tire Traffic Center. There is nothing going on, y'all. I-12 westbound coming in from Denham Springs, we're looking good. 10 westbound coming in from Ascension Parish, equally golden. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish, we're good. 110's wide open. Both bridges are looking good. There are no accidents to report on your surface streets. I might start scrolling through looking for traffic in other cities just so I can have something to talk about. It's, it is Independence Day Eve, so the roads to start off the morning are certainly reflecting that. .625 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Haggai Davis could be in for a cup of tech gumbo coming up about 10 minutes from right now. Looking forward to this one. Oh, we got a good one, too. We got a good one. If you have any inkling of fear of self-driving vehicles, there's something that's going to rattle around in the back of your head from now till eternity. We'll talk about it coming up next. Right now, though, oh, hey, on behalf of the city of Central, Mayor Wade Evans invites you to the Red, White, and Boom celebration, a special Independence Day event marking Central's 20th anniversary. Join us Saturday, July 5th from 5 to 10 p.m. at the Grand Settlement at Shoe Creek for live music, family fun, and a spectacular fireworks show. That would be the Boom. All free, open to the public. Don't miss this unforgettable night of community pride and patriotic spirit. One of the many fireworks shows going on over the course of the weekend. We're going to run down a couple of them in just a quick second. I do need to remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com. Community banking, local banking is unbelievably vital. We learned this during the pandemic. We learned this firsthand during the pandemic, and Landmark Bank was one of the banks that stood out as someplace where you don't just have a bank, you have a banker. If you're a business owner and you were going through the PPP loan process, you knew full well that as a small business, you didn't mean jack diddly to the big boys, okay? If you had a national, international bank, your money just wasn't enough. But if you worked with a local banker, they worked with you through the night, nights and weekends, getting everything straight to make sure that your business was taken care of, that you would come out the other side of the pandemic doing all right. Landmark Bank has been doing that for over 100 years now. COVID was a big example, a glaring example, but also a very good reminder of what it means to not just have a bank, have a banker. Founded in 1897 as a community bank. 2025, they are a community bank, staying true to their mission. Find their locations, learn more about what they could do at landmarkbankla.com. So, all over the place, there will be celebrations for Independence Day. Just kind of running down what's going on over the whole calendar today, this evening. Oh, the Kenilworth Independence Parade. We're not in that this year. Oh, man. Kenilworth Independence Parade. Kenilworth is hosting their Independence Day Parade starting at 6:30 p.m. at the former Kenilworth School Building on Boone Avenue. The parade will feature many special guests, including the Grand Marshal, Father Michael Alello. Honored guest Mayor President Sid Edwards will be out there as well. The parade theme this year is Living the American Dream. Out in Donaldsonville, their Independence Day celebration will be 4 to 10 p.m. Downtown Development District in Crescent. It's put on by their Downtown Development District in Crescent Park. Music by Big Frank, Lil Frank. Big Frank and Lil Frank? Ooh. Both together? There will be, yeah. But I guess it always reminds me of Smokey and the Bandit. All right, we'll skip that. Fireworks and vendor booths going on as well. Out in Prairieville, you've got 4th and the 3rd. Prairieville hosting their annual Independence Day celebration at 39427 Lakeland Drive, 6 p.m. this evening. Fireworks on the lake start at 9 p.m. Out in False River, you got Lake-a-Palooza at the Sandbar. That is actually going to be, it starts today. It's going to carry all the way through July 5th. Doors, the Sandbar is the second annual one. Doors will open at 6 p.m. each day. Featured performers include Wayne Toops, just one size. Wayne Toops, Blue Crab Redemption, and Parish County Line, all going to be featured out at Lake-a-Palooza. Now, tomorrow, for the big deal on our actual Independence Day, our news partners at WBRZ have been putting on the fireworks on the Mississippi for some years now. That tradition continues tomorrow night. Sit out on the levee. The show actually starts at 9 p.m. In downtown Baton Rouge. L'Auberge Casino has their fireworks extravaganza. This includes a free lawn viewing party. You're viewing the fireworks, you're not viewing the lawn. Let's just be very clear about that. The lawn viewing party from 7 to 10 p.m. Rooftop pool viewing party from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. Now, the pool, you might be viewing more than the fireworks. $30 cover charge, must be 21 to enter. You get the Rockin' on the River concert. Could be going on tomorrow evening, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. South River Road in Baton Rouge, featuring music by OMT, and a complimentary Zydeco dance lesson will be offered alongside prior to the performance. Baton Rouge Concert Band is doing their 4th of July celebration concert, 7 p.m. on the plaza at the main branch of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library on Goodwood Boulevard. 4th of July in District 5, Councilman Darrell Hurst and Baton Rouge General Hospital are hosting a fireworks and bonfire event at the corner of North Sherwood Forest Boulevard and Big Bend Avenue from 4:30 to 8:30. This will have a soundtrack provided by the Michael Foster Project, Universal Language, and Sweet Southern Heat, along with DJ Kicks. Also tomorrow night at Pete Goolsby Field, the Baton Rouge Rougarou will be playing, and Friday night is fireworks night, so after the game you will have fireworks there as well. I am just straight up out of time and only halfway through the events. We'll continue to update the events as the show wears on. Right now, here's news. Good morning, Christy, if she's up. I don't even know if Christy's working today. She ought to have the day off today.
Okay. I was listening earlier, and you were talking about P. Diddy and whether or not we should be purging your Diddy songs. And I said, that's a good idea. And then I realized I've never heard a P. Diddy song, so I couldn't tell you the first thing he's ever sung, so I don't have to worry about purging any of that.
Fair enough.
I'll Be Missing You seems like that's one like everyone would.
I'll Be Missing You was about 20 years old.
I know, but
that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I would think that would be the one. That probably everybody's heard. You may have heard it. It's kind of like a the music is Sting, like the Police. To every breath you take.
He sampled Every Breath You Take.
Yeah.
That was what? It was 96, 97?
Yeah.
So, gosh, almost 30 years old.
Yeah. That's...
The only one that I would really miss would be Last Night. I was never a Diddy guy.
No, yeah.
Everything was like he oversamples. Like, it's one thing to pull a sample from a song.
Yeah.
It's another thing to just tear up a song and call it your own. Same was true with Can't Nobody Hold Me Down.
Oh yeah, and then he did it with what's the other song he did? He did with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I'm not gonna remember it.
I know it was Cashmere, by Led Zeppelin, but that was actually on the Godzilla soundtrack.
Really?
The one that came out in like 97, 98.
Come
But
with
that
me.
one was overdone. What was it?
Come with me.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the song from Bad Boys 2, if you count that as a Diddy song. Because it was like Diddy and like 50 other people. Shake Your Tail Feather?
Yeah. What you had? You had like, yeah, it was Nelly. It was,
I think I saw Diddy first Bad Boys.
Second Bad Boys has one of the funniest scenes ever. Kid comes to pick up Martin Lawrence's daughter for a date. And Martin Lawrence and Will Smith do this whole like complete gangster, like it's you guys. I'm not gonna do it justice, but basically to intimidate this boy who's taking out Martin Lawrence's daughter. It just rips the door. The fuck you want? Yeah, I just got out of jail and I ain't going back. He's waving around a gun. Will Smith tells the boy, "You ever make love to a man? You want to?" It's one of the funniest scenes ever. Oh. Bro, they bought in big, didn't they? Neurojust bought in big. I love it. New live read for me. It's transcranial magnetic stimulation.
I heard you yesterday.
It's so everybody I mentioned it to, the first question they ask is like shock therapy. It's not. It's not like that at all. It's more like a miniature MRI, where the magnetic waves are directed towards your brain. You don't feel it, but it definitely like lowers the fight or flight. Like not everything is perceived as this unbelievable end of the world crisis. And when you can lower the temperature on all that, the anxiety starts to fade. And you start to view things through a more positive light.
Cool.
They bat about 700. 70% of respondents have permanent, basically a permanent fix.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, one of the stories we talked about probably be a good one for you and Franz.
Pornhub.
That one, but the Subway Surfing team.
Yeah, I didn't get all that. Subway Surfer is a video game, right?
No, you're actually getting up on top of the subway cars going through New York City and surfing up on top of the cars.
Oh, I thought it was a video game where you're jumping over
No.
subways to collect coins.
No, that is a game, but the game is based upon the kids who get up on top of the subways and ride them. And the kid fell off the train and died. And
Well, I should hope so.
His mom is suing TikTok and Meta because she says the videos that her kid was fed from the algorithm is what caused him to do that. And all these companies are going to do is go, look, here's his search history. He was searching this stuff out.
Right.
But I mean,
Hulk Hogan or Kenny Powers?
Maybe a little bit of both.
That was always Hulk Hogan.
Though.
It was always Hulk Hogan.
Come on.
And then you had Eastbound and Down, and that song went from being just Hulk Hogan's to sharing it with Danny McBride as Kenny Powers. The most, for those that don't know, Danny McBride, actor Danny McBride, played a character named Kenny Powers, a baseball pitcher whose career was like completely demolished. He was trying to put it back together and was playing in a Mexican baseball league, and that was his walkout song. And then he completely insulted everybody in the stadium, completely insulted the American flag. It's a hilarious scene, but nonetheless, it's a iconic song to go along with it. All right, it's time for Cup of Tech Gumbo. Let's roll. Yes, it's time for Cup of Tech Gumbo, and we welcome Haggai Davis back in. How are you, man?
I'm doing great.
We got a lot of stories to cover this morning. I'm going to leave this one open to you where to start, but I'm telling you right now, I want to hit the self-driving story at some point. You want to start there?
Sure.
Okay. Tesla's so-called self-driving software won't stop for a school bus or a kid running from behind said bus. But despite that, the automaker is moving forward with plans to introduce robo-taxis in Austin, Texas, and saying it's totally safe. One family in Pennsylvania may disagree, though, after their Tesla turned onto some railroad tracks before eventually getting hit by a train. This according to WFMZ. Thankfully, everyone was able to get out of the car and move to safety before the train hit their car, and there have been no reported injuries from this incident. But a Tesla in self-drive mode turned onto train tracks.
Yes.
And got hit by a train, which is what would happen if you turn onto train tracks.
So what actually happened when the full self-driving mode from Tesla, which is not a full self-driving mode, it's nowhere close.
Okay.
But Tesla keeps saying that it is.
Okay.
It's lane control is all that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the full self-driving mode took a left turn onto the railroad tracks. And because it's a Tesla, it's not a four-wheel drive pickup truck, it got about 40 feet down the tracks, and then it lost traction with the tires were suspended, basically, and they were stuck.
Yeah.
So it was like 4:30 in the morning, and those that were in the car got out, and the train came along on parallel tracks, and it didn't smash the car, but it clobbered the side of it, kind of thing.
That doesn't make it better.
It really doesn't. And this has happened several other times.
Really?
Yes. Tesla, and this is a Tesla problem, not a Waymo problem. So the Waymo robo-taxis, the self-driving cars are amazing and do a great job. The Tesla full self-driving doesn't. And Tesla has released their robo-taxis in Austin already.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been a lot of videos of the Teslas making poor choices.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in California, this guy who started a tech company loves his full self-driving mode Tesla. The car takes a left into the train lane, and he's now stuck at a red light, and he sees this train coming up behind him, and there's people walking across in front of him, and there's a video on his Twitter page of him like, hey, the train is coming, it's getting closer, and get out of my way. He's honking the horn, and people aren't moving, and the red light's not changing. And finally, he just runs the light and jumps out away, and then 20 seconds later, the train goes by where he was.
Right.
And then he says, oh, this, but I still love my Tesla, even though it's driven me out onto the train tracks. And there were like 3 or 4 different total stories where Tesla is driving cars onto train tracks and not on the lanes where they're supposed to be, because Tesla does not do a good job of the full self-driving mode.
Right. Right.
So to remember, we've talked about it in the past, fully autonomous vehicles is it's a 1 through 5 stage,
Mhm.
where 1 is cruise control, 2 is lane control, 3 is you don't have to touch the vehicle; it will just go, but you still have to be behind the steering wheel. Level 4 is where you get in the car, put in an address, and then it takes off. Level 5 doesn't have a steering wheel.
Right.
So the
level 4 is where the car will turn itself onto train tracks.
or take you where you want to go.
Sure.
The self-driving taxis that Waymo is rolling out across the country are level 4, and they're doing a great job. The Teslas are level 2s.
Problem here, Haggai, is that perception is reality.
Oh, I get it.
And when stories like this hit, nobody cares about the name Tesla or the name Waymo. They care about self-driving vehicle hit by train. And when you have something like this happen from a market-based standpoint,
Absolutely.
the perception is they're nowhere close to the actual technology yet. I'm not going to buy one. And if everybody takes that mentality, then all the R&D that's already been invested and all the burn capital that these companies have, they're going to run out of it and they're going to bankrupt before they get across that finish line.
My son, the traffic engineer,
Yeah.
said the exact same thing 3 weeks ago on our show.
Okay.
In that, if people are afraid, if Tesla screws this up for the rest of the world,
Yes.
it's going to be bad.
Yes.
And Tesla is doing their best to screw this up for the rest of the world.
Yes.
Where the other EVs out there that are fully autonomous are really, really amazing technology and do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take shortcuts, when you don't do everything that you should be doing the way Tesla does, then you put people in jeopardy.
Right.
You put the industry in jeopardy, and that's just not a good thing for this autonomous vehicle market.
Since it is 4th of July weekend, I'll make this comparison. It's like in the self-driving world, everybody is enjoying the beach on Amity Island. But Mayor Vaughn is like Tesla saying, y'all got to get in the water.
Right.
And then that's how that Kittner boy gets eaten.
That's a great analogy. I like that one.
I just did a Jaws thing. How about
Yeah,
that?
the shark alligator rule.
There
There
you
you
go. Hey. Here's the thing, though. I get the technology behind it because because of this segment, I stay pretty dialed in.
Right.
And this sort of thing is more alarming to me for the overall market because people are going to lose jobs over it. This is not everybody who's working for every other company out there. There will be ripple effects.
The Ubers and the Lyft drivers of the world, they're going to be
they'll keep their jobs a little longer.
a little bit, but I mean, Uber's long-term plan is not to have employees,
Right.
people driving those cars.
No, I know.
That's the long-term plan. I mean,
Right.
but the immediate plan is they still want the Uber drivers and the Lyft drivers kind of thing. But the 30-year, 40-year out plan is like people don't even own cars anymore. You just call up an app and the car comes pick you up because you don't need to buy a car anymore.
Right.
Because there's just fleets of vehicles running around waiting to take you where you need to go.
He's Haggai Davis. We do a cup of tech gumbo at this time every week. We're going to take a quick break. On the back end of the break, we'll pick things back up again. Haggai, I want to talk about when we come back in. Hang on. You had it. It was one of the top stories you had, in fact. When we come back, I want to talk about, Brazil's Supreme Court.
Yes.
And whether or not this could trickle over here to the U.S. That is when we continue. John, how long is the break that's built in there? And do you have to delete anything out of it?
I don't believe so, but I'll double check. It should be a 2-minute break.
Okay. Then I have enough time to tell you about the folks over at Breck. The lifesavers over at Breck, as you heard in our top stories in trending. Shout out to the crew over there at Liberty Lagoon for being on their toes, being on the ball, and making sure that there was an outcome that was way more amenable than it could have been. Big shout out to the folks at Breck for making sure that Liberty Lagoon properly staffed and functioning as well. I tell you every single day about all the options that Breck provides, all the different services, how they have to be everything to everybody. Well, it's a rare occasion where you can step up and see the level of difference that employees can make. So when it comes to Breck, and I'm supposed to tell you about a town hall they've got coming up as well. We might do that later on in the show. But when it comes to Breck, if whatever it is you're into, check it out at breck.org. They're going to have something on it. In any of the different Breck parks and facilities, whether it's recreational sports, arts, crafts, leisure, whatever, check it out at breck.org. Quick break. We're back next.
I just remembered, you don't have the TVs on anymore?
No, neither of them work, and it's nowhere near the priority list. For Bo is so overworked right now. I'm not going to bother him. That right there is the computer that's going to feed that, and that computer is going to feed me an atomic clock that doesn't get off by 50 seconds every 3 months.
Is Rick Cantu still around too, or has he moved on?
He's been gone since 2018.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was here during the pandemic.
He might have been here during the pandemic. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was here still during the pandemic.
Then that would have been about the end of it, 2020. Then we've been. He moved to Tennessee.
Okay.
Has a cabin in Gatlinburg, I think.
Nice.
Join Your Money Now already in progress. And that did not work out the way I thought it would.
So other than sleeping late, y'all doing anything for the 4th?
No. Oh, well, yeah, we go to the Terra Pool. That's about the extent of it. They do all the fun 4th of July games.
We used to do
They
that.
throw all the pennies in the pool and let the kids go diving for them. They do the greased watermelon.
We used to do that at Marabou when the kids were small. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
It's a smorgasbord of meat.
Oh, yeah.
So at Terra Pool, it's not like we're a member of a club where, you go up and you order your cheeseburger from the stand and just put on the Haldane tab. They have a snack stand, but they have like 4 or 5 grills out there, and we all just bring our ice chests, bring our meat. We do our own cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, it's glorious.
Oh, yeah.
652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Cup of Tech Gumbo continuing right now. Dateline Brazil. The majority of justices on Brazil's Supreme Court have agreed to make social media companies liable for illegal postings by their users in a landmark case for Latin America with implications for U.S. relations. What's the back end of this story, Haggai?
Well, the back end is that there is no Section 230 of the Telecom Decency Act of 1996 in Brazil. Section 230 is what gives cover to the social media platforms here in the United States so that they cannot be held liable for anything posted on their platforms. So if you post a video of whatever you nefarious thing you may want to be posting out there, Facebook or TikTok or any one of the platforms cannot be held responsible for it. Brazil does not have that type of law.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, if you're Facebook or if you're LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever one of these, and you're posting, or somebody else post a video, and somebody finds that untowards and threatens to sue, then that Facebook can get sued. And so what's going to wind up happening is the first time they get sued, they're just going to pull out of the Brazil market.
As opposed to taking accountability for what's on their own site.
Again, Brian, it's not about, it may be something you think is just fine, but I think is objectionable.
Right. But there's certain things that standards across the board.
But your standards in here in South Louisiana are going to be different from the standards in Brazil. They're going to be different from the people who live in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just going to be different. And this is not about, pornography or any vile things. These, I mean, this could be about the kid riding on top of the subway.
Yeah.
That, Section 230 provides the protection for these social media platforms. And when you don't have that Section 230, well, then either Facebook's going to have to completely scrub everything that is on their platforms in Brazil.
Yeah.
Or they're going to just completely pull out of Brazil.
Okay, is it possible for every country to have a set of standards that you have to follow from country to country? And would it be possible and I know every time a story comes out about this, I go back and forth between whose side I'm on because I see both sides of this argument. On the one side, there's no way Facebook can keep up with every post that everybody has. And they can try as they might. There's just no way. Okay, but on the other side, I'm one that says when I find something objectionable, you know what I do? I turn it off.
Right.
I'm not going to sue over something like this.
So Facebook's standard, their terms and conditions say that if you recognize, if you think something is objectionable,
mm-hmm.
you notify us, and we have 24 hours to go back and review that particular video. And if it is objectionable, we'll take it down.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going to happen there in Brazil. Hey, this is not right. This goes against the morals of our country. Please take this down immediately. And if you don't take it down in 24 hours, then you're subject to be sued. That's in the terms and conditions of most of these social media platforms, at 24 or some of them even a 48-hour window.
Okay.
That's in the 15,000 words that you just clicked on accept without reading past the 2 words.
But that's the other flip side of this, though, is they've already agreed to accept this.
You've already agreed. Just by when you opened up Facebook the very first time, you agreed to their terms and conditions. So,
mm-hmm.
All you see people, I do not give Facebook permission to do. You ignore that. I mean, you've already accepted. You've already told Facebook you can do that.
Right.
And not just to pick on Facebook, any of the social media platforms.
Completely.
I use Facebook as the example because.
But it's like you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, but can you hold the person liable who hands the megaphone to the guy who yells fire?
No, I don't know. That's a Franz question.
Yeah.
That's not a me question. I mean, I'm more on this is what's happening with the technology, not about, the only thing the Section 230 is what is relevant to this story because it's here in the U.S.
Right.
They don't have Section 230 in the European Union. They don't have Section 230 anywhere else around the world. But the rest of the world goes along with our Section 230.
Now,
because they're American companies.
Important note in this story, though, is there's Justice Flavio Dino, fantastic name. Justice Flavio Dino, the first to vote on Wednesday, reminded his colleagues that recent cases of school shootings in Brazil were stimulated on social media. So there is a line. There is a line that does need to be looked out for. There is a level of responsibility. And this one, again, I come down on both sides of this. There is a level of responsibility for when it's your platform, you need to monitor what's on it. And there should be some level of liability. 230 aside.
Can you prove that the shootings were spurred on because of the social media platforms, that the videos they saw on social media or the posts they put on social media? Or did they happen, they saw it on the news and then went back to social media?
Right.
Where the chicken and the egg, what happened first here?
Yeah.
And so.
Well, no. If the social media is the chicken or the egg, if social media is any part of the equation, you've got to be responsible for what's on your platform.
And so if they were on a news site and saw the information on a news site then
reposted it back to social media.
Right.
That reposting is part of the equation.
But is that what caused the kid to all of a sudden go to the school and shoot up the school?
Well, now we get into percentages of causation.
And so that's where you're it's more about the individual and what the individual does as opposed to
with you.
Self-ownership of your actions.
I'm with you on that front as well. He's Haggai Davis. Catch a full serving of Tech Gumbo Saturdays and Sundays right here on Talk 107.3 FM. And, of course, everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Have a great 4th.
You too, Brian.
So, I come down on both sides of this.
I do. I understand. And I'm not disagreeing. I want these social media platforms not to have the radicalization from the Islamic ISIS kind of folks on their platforms.
Right. There's a level of freedom of speech where,
But how do you say just because you're praising Allah that you can't put that video out there?
Right. Yeah. But praising Allah is one thing. Calling for a fatwa is another. There's what's offensive and there's what's offensive. There's what's offensive and there's what's threatening. I think threatening is the right word there.
Galen says repeal Section 230. You repeal Section 230, you change the internet. You're going to destroy everything that's on the internet. There is no more Facebook. There is no LinkedIn, TikTok, anything if you repeal Section 230. And both sides of the political aisle want to get rid of Section 230, but they want to get rid of it for different reasons.
Right.
And that's why it's not going to.
Well, because both sides feel like they're targeted.
Right.
And it's
for different reasons they feel like they're
because
targeted.
Both sides feel like the umpire is pulling for the other team.
Exactly. And so that's why they're not.
ESPN hates LSU. Oh, by the way.
Who doesn't?
I know.
I mean, you saw the video, Coastal Carolina versus LSU. It was 47 states to 3.
Yeah. But everyone feels like they're the aggrieved party.
Sure they do.
Yeah. But drawing the line between offensive versus dangerous. For example, Foodie Friday, presented by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. If I bring Sean Segura in here and he brings half a damn cow with him, that's going to be offensive to vegans. But vegans have the right to walk away because I haven't threatened them with anything.
Agreed.
I was like, I'm not going to come over and dress you up in a meat suit. No, that was the Lady Gaga thing from a decade ago. But it's offensive to them, but it's not threatening. School shootings, you could have this congregation of, by the way, interesting to note though, Brazil is citing school shootings. I thought school shootings only happened in America. I thought we were the only ones that had that. Yeah. Anyway. I just wanted the excuse to say the name Flavio Dino.
I mean, part of it too. I mean, that Section 230. You get rid of that, and I mean, you've just totally blown up the internet. You've destroyed so much of what has been built over the past 30 years.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, blow it up. Let's get rid of it. But then when you go to try and find any kind of information on the internet, you're not going to find it because people are afraid to put anything out there for fear of being sued.
Right. And that pendulum will swing in the opposite direction.
And so that's why you're going to see Section 230 stick around until social media goes away.
Yeah. Well, that's my take has always been, if you don't like the content, just move on. Yeah. There's no harm in that. Just move on.
There's so much opportunity, so many choices for different things out there. If you don't like this one, man, you got a million choices to go see something else.
Right.
Happy 4th, Facebook.
And to you, sir.
Great time. No parade this year, huh? Was Pulse Card still running it? Well, do enjoy your time at the pool as well.
Yes, we will.
And John, you have a great 4th yourself.
Oh, we didn't get to Google Earth. That was.
Can we stick around for?
No. I got way too much on the plate today.
I love Google Earth. That was one of my favorite stories we talked about. Because I spend so much time on Google Earth. I really do.
It's all over TikTok now. Zooming in on Google Earth and like, what the hell is this? And it's like an abandoned naval base somewhere in the Pacific type stuff. It's crazy. How we doing? 7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along, holding at 77 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. That means just 2 hours to go until we get the clock out for an extended weekend. Yes, programming note, we will be off tomorrow. Got some special programming coming your way during this time slot. I know when Moon takes off for 4th of July, I believe he runs the American Ground Radio 4th of July special. You're not going to want to miss that. But we'll be right back at it on Monday. Right now, though, while we do still have 2 hours of the show left, how about a little top stories and trending?
Number 5.
Heavy machinery staged along the closed May Street broke the dams, keeping University Lake and City Park Lake separate. Now the two flow together. Water rushed down a path through large culverts yesterday morning. City Park Lake has always been about a foot higher than University Lake. This is going to bring them to roughly the same elevation. The May Street project, by the way, along with this, includes building a new road with improved intersections at East Lake Shore and Dalrymple Drive, and constructing a bridge with a 5-foot clearance for boat traffic.
Number 4.
A person was brought to the hospital after nearly drowning at Liberty Lagoon on Wednesday afternoon. First responders said that the adult who nearly drowned around 4:10 p.m. It was an adult who nearly drowned, a 19-year-old, was in a kids' play zone under a water structure when they suffered a medical emergency and fell into the water. The head lifeguard and the lifeguard staff responded. The person's parents ran over, pulled them out of the water. They did render aid, potentially saving their life. Shout out to Breck's crew over there at Liberty Lagoon for thinking quick, thinking on their feet, and doing their job very, very well.
Number 3.
Kevin Kulig, the first West Feliciana Parish president, died on Monday. He was 73 years old. Kulig took office in 2013 after transitioning from a police jury government model to a parish council. He retired in 2018, just a month before his term was up.
Number 2.
The parish has been voluntarily collecting woody waste piles since September of 2023 with the money available to fund the effort. Now that money's running out. Mayor President Sid Edwards addressed this at a press conference yesterday, stressing the importance of calling 311 to notify the city of woody waste piles so that workers with the Republic can get to it as quickly as possible while the city is entering contract negotiations with Richards Disposal. Richards, or Richards, I'm not sure, will pick up small piles of waste, but they don't have boom trucks to pick up the larger collections. So just make the call to 311 ahead of time.
Number 1.
Tomorrow is the 4th of July, and of course that does mean fireworks on the Mississippi River. It's the normal show, y'all. Our news partners over at WBRZ run this thing, so check out more at WBRZ.com. But fireworks on the Mississippi is back. Heading on out to the levee tomorrow night to take part in the festivities. The show starts at 9 p.m. Did I need to clarify that was p.m., John?
No,
someone was going to say 9 a.m. or p.m. Yeah, go watch fireworks in the middle of the day. Whatever.
Oh, man. Those are the real Americans. Wake up, like, all right, let's go.
Let's go.
9
I can't see a thing, but I hear booms.
Right, exactly. Hey, tomorrow's the self-imposed deadline by Donald Trump as the House battles for votes on the big, beautiful bill.
Don't know if they're going to get there, man. I don't know if they're going to get there. I'm worried about the repercussions, too, by the way. I just want to see everything play out in real life because Republicans and Democrats are shouting completely opposite things about the effects of this bill.
Yeah.
Are rural hospitals going to close down because Medicaid's being gutted out to zero? Or are the Medicaid cuts not as draconian as we're being led to believe? If the bill doesn't pass, are my taxes going to go up by 25% as of tomorrow? Or is that also a fear tactic? How big, how wide, how deep are the cuts? I'm at the point now where I'm like, let's just pass the damn thing. Let the chips fall where they may. Republicans are in charge right now. And if we jack this thing up from the White House to Congress, if we jack it up, then that's on us to own for the next 15, 20 years. There's going to be midterms next year. If this big, beautiful bill turns out to be as ugly as the Democrats are saying, we'll see the repercussions there.
Yeah.
But pass the damn thing.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Hey, a judge declined to grant bail to Sean Diddy Combs, meaning the hip-hop mogul won't go free while he awaits sentencing in his sex crimes case. The bond decision came after a jury convicted Combs of federal prostitution-related offenses, but acquitted him of sex trafficking and racketeering charges.
So the big question right now is if you've got Diddy songs on your playlist, are you deleting them?
Taking them off right now?
Did you already do this, by the way? If you've got Diddy songs. I can tell you right now.
I really don't.
I've got
personally?
Two.
I'll be missing you. It's like...
Nah, not even that one. I don't care for that one. It's just straight up stolen from the police.
Yeah.
And All About the Benjamins was not really my jam.
Oh, yeah.
Last Night would be on my playlist somewhere.
Yeah.
I
got that.
And the song from Bad Boys 2 would be on my playlist as well. Shake Your Tail Feather. But that's like 50 people in that song. That's Nelly, Diddy,
who was the
Murphy
group
Lee.
that was in there? Yeah. See, that's a group. That's something you really don't hear about. Murphy Lee.
Right.
Remember Nelly had the Saint Lunatics?
Yeah.
That was a good album. I don't know that first album. Anyway, I digress. But the point is, yeah, you're right. I mean, what do we do? Well, on Wednesday, D1Baseball.com announced their postseason honors. Among them, LSU outfielder Derek Curiel was named Freshman of the Year. Also, freshman right-handed pitcher Kason Evans were named first-team freshman All-American.
Cool. Very good stuff.
Yes, indeed.
The future of the Tigers. I'm bullish on next year's Tigers. I don't know if they're going to it's an unbelievably hard to repeat, but I'm bullish on next year's team. They're bringing 3 left-handed pitchers already out of the transfer portal, which I believe the transfer portal's closed for now. Waiting on the draft is the hard part right now. Waiting on the MLB draft to see what recruits take the money and go. That's the tough part right now. We got Rolfe McCollister coming up after the break. Oh, I neglected to mention in our sports segment, LSU football picked up a recruit for the 2026 class. Defensive end Trenton Henderson. Pensacola. He's out of Pensacola, Florida. He picked LSU over Florida and Texas. He's the number 82 overall recruit in the country. He's a 4-star recruit, according to 247. But yeah, he named LSU last night as his destination. So just overlooked that in our sports segment. We had run out of time before the Fox Business Report. Wanted to squeeze that in where we could. All right, 7:13, Talk 107.3 FM. Quick break. Rolfe McCollister's next. I told him to call right at 7:15. Galen says, or is it the federal government's responsibility to keep hospitals open that cannot otherwise stay in business? We do not have infinite money, despite what Congress thinks. Okay, so we've also built a machine that is a national economy. And when you put a rural hospital out of business, you're also putting employees of that hospital out of business. You're going to reduce what has been built up in the medical complex is so huge right now, you cannot just wipe it clean and expect everything to function tomorrow. You've got employees, you've got vendors, you've got entire local economies that are built around this stuff. You're going to see a depression, the likes of which would make the Great Depression look like just a pity party. It's all way too intertwined. Surgically removing piece by piece, and surgically removing piece by piece is the way to go here. If you're just going to blanket destroy Medicaid, you're going to destroy so much more than Medicaid. I don't know what that is. Oh, God. You good? No, it's cool. As much as I love that song, you hate to hear it, though, because you know Apollo's about to die.
It's bittersweet.
Spoiler, by the way, for Rocky IV.
In case you haven't seen it.
If you hadn't seen it yet. Spoiler alert. All right. Was it earlier this week or late last week? When did this come out? It was June 30th. Okay, so Monday. Rolfe McCollister penned an opinion column, and it starts off, "Time for truth." Those were the head-scratching words of former Mayor Sharon Weston Blum in her recent Instagram post criticizing the current mayor, Sid Edwards. She complained that Edwards was blaming her administration for the budget mess caused by the St. George Corporation. Blum said, "Let's be honest, that is categorically false. I warned this would happen." McCollister goes on to say, "Well, current citizen Blum, when you were a state senator, many warned that if you denied Southeast Baton Rouge its requested independent school district twice, demanding an incorporated city be created first, like in a previous demand with Central, then that is exactly what parents would give you." He goes on from there, and he was on fire, and he joins us right now. Rolfe, welcome back, man. How are you?
Good morning, Brian.
Glad to have you on. Glad to be talking about this because it's a bigger conversation to be had overall. First of all, what sparked this? I don't want to say fury because it's all very well thought out. It's all very measured at the same time. It's equal parts fire and measure. But what fired you up?
Well, I just think sometimes we forget history, and I think Mayor Blum conveniently forgot a lot of history and wanted to talk about now. I think she should have let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah.
And I think she had friends that were saying, "Oh, did you hear? You need to say something. You need to say something." You know what? Put your ego aside and move on and let the mayor deal with it. But, you know, she had to speak up. And I just said, well, if you've got to, you said it's time for truth. Well, let's give the rest of the truth about the history, because I had watched the videos when she was at the podium in the Senate, you know, defending the school system and not trying to stop the independent district. I mean, we saw it. I mean, I supported it in Baker. I supported when Zachary wanted to be independent. I supported Central, you know, and now the independent, because, you know, parents deserve good schools and no kid should be trapped in a failing school. I've always been a school choice proponent since the mid-'90s when we helped draft the charter school law. And so, you know, with this, we said, hey, you know, these kids, they deserve a school. So, you know what, the others have done it. Well, they brought up the argument, oh, you got to be a city. Well, that's not true. And so they just thought that was impossible. They'd never do that. Then suddenly they get a city, and then the mayor sues and tries to stop it. And it's like, Mayor, you made your bed. You're having to lie in it now. And now, unfortunately, the public said, we don't want her in charge, and defeated her and elected Sid Edwards. So now he inherits the mess, which, again, if you look at history, Sharon, you started all this, you and others in the legislature. And I just said people need to know the history, and the roosters, you know, the chickens have come home to roost. And, you know, so now I feel bad for the mayor. He's having to deal with the issue, which, again, she left behind, and she acts like, oh, I warned everybody. And it's like, Mayor, I prepared for this. You didn't prepare for this. The city was spending money right and left, giving out contracts in the election year, you know, and then my people were preparing. Her people, that was one of her issues. She didn't have talent surrounding her, and you know, she failed to lead, and so I just had to set the record straight and give people a perspective of history, to where you know, when you point your finger at somebody, you got three pointing back at you.
That's exactly right. We're talking with Rolfe McCollister about his recent column, just, you know, opening up the history books a little bit. Rolfe, I do want to ask you though, and I'm not trying to defend former Mayor Blum here, but and I also don't want to speak ill of the recently departed, but some of the blame does need to fall at Kip's feet as well, because he was just as dismissive, just as insulting to those who wanted to form a school district as well. And nothing tightens resolve or firms up resolve like being dismissed. I mean, that was the way this whole thing was handled back then, really firmed up their resolve. And on the flip side of this, Mayor Blum inherited a lot of those spending problems as well. We didn't just open the spigot when she was elected. We've been spending in this city off of the backs of the tax money of St. George for some time now. So some of it was an inherited problem.
Right. Well, Kip was, you know, he used the same defense on Central. He fought the Central District and said they got to be a city, and they became a city. And then the idea is, if you don't learn from history, you repeat it. Well, guess what? You tell the people of Southeast Baton Rouge, you got to be a city. Look what Central did. Parents will do whatever they need to do to protect their children. Mm-hmm. Now, we know a lot of them have moved to Livingston, Ascension, West Feliciana, for better schools. And our population, Mayor, under your 8 years has declined in East Baton Rouge, in the city of Baton Rouge specifically. It has declined. We've lost a lot of young talent. So, people are going to do what they got to do. And that's the thing. We didn't learn from Central, and we said, oh, be a city. Well, you know what? And I admit, we have this consolidated form of government. We have 5 cities in our parish. It's like, what? How is that consolidated?
Well, no, it's duplicative now, and it's what was a consolidated form of government when it was one city, one city in a surrounding area. But yeah, we have 5 cities within East Baton Rouge Parish. Is it time, Rolfe, to start this conversation, to start saying we need to start seriously looking at the consolidated city-parish form of government?
Yeah, I agree. I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't have, the silver bullet. But, a lot of people are talking about, man, what do we do? And do we, form the city? Because then you go back to a city council in Baton Rouge, and then you go back to a parish council. And so, there is no one way to do it. And but like you said, now we're dealing with the issue of our DA. Our DA is underfunded. He's losing people to the Attorney General. We arrest people, we charge them, but then we can't prosecute them because we're stacked up and backed up. And so, I know he put together a proposal to fund his office, and that the voter said no. Well, the idea with the money we have, and we say crime's a problem, we've got to fund the police department. We've got to fund the DAs to prosecute and put people away. Otherwise, they get bail and they're back on the street. And, right now, Baker, Central, and Zachary aren't paying anything toward the constitutional offices. And now they're talking to St. George, and they said, well, why us if these others aren't? Well, I think everybody ought to contribute. And I think that's going to be an issue. And there's been lawsuits by DAs saying you have to fund me appropriately to the parish form of government. And so this is going to be an issue. I think it's going to come forth. I think they're talking about it now, but these others have to contribute, and because they use the DA. They all use the DA. They all use the coroner.
Whoop, did we lose him? Rolfe, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there you cut out for just a minute. And yeah, we do. We all use the DA, and nothing is more important. No matter what, nothing is more important than public safety.
Right.
You can't sell anything else. You can't sell economic development without public safety.
Right.
I'm looking at the mayor's race down in New Orleans right now, and Helen Moreno is trying to say we're going to fix public safety through economic development. It's like, no, that's putting the cart before the horse.
Right.
You got to go the other way around there. You got to tell companies you got a safe place to move in first. So that being said, are we too dug deep into this? Are we too entrenched to dig our way out of it?
I don't know. Like I said, people now, move toward their own interest. Whether it's schools and whether they go to a public, a charter, which charters are public, but are private, or they move out of the parish. People make decisions. And like in this case, we've made decisions on the Zachary. We've made decisions on the city of Central. We've made decisions on this. So how do you undo it?
Right.
And so I don't know that people want to go back. The question is how does this consolidated form of government work? We just got the bill passed that changed BREC. And so now instead of a BREC board being appointed by the council, you have 5 mayors that all have a seat. Them are their designee, and then you have 4 others that are appointed by the council to make a total of 9. Mm-hmm. But the 5 mayors all have a seat on BREC because BREC is a parish-wide agency. They're all served. They've talked about pulling out. Central had a bill to pull out completely and start their own. And so we've got to figure out something to way to govern, it throughout the parish, or it becomes every man to themselves. And the idea is, I believe, united we stand, divided we could be stronger working together, right, and having the size versus everybody being a silo. Silos just don't work.
No, they don't. And I do have some concern that with the new form of BREC, it's going to be paralysis by analysis because 5 different mayors are going to fight for their own fiefdoms. 5 different mayors are going to fight to make sure that when it comes to prioritizing dollars, what's coming to my city first is going to be the way that's going to go.
Right.
And Janet Simmons has a task in front of her. In fact, she was on earlier this week talking about
Okay.
some of the plans that are to come. I like a lot of her ideas. I did tell her to keep you away from the golf courses. Dang it. But
well, like I said, change is difficult, but in every area, I mean, especially with AI now, change is happening everywhere. Whether it's the media, whether it's government, whether it's parks, whether it's business. I mean, everybody is dealing with change because the market's changing. We've got all the different generations. They all have different likes and dislikes, and so it's hard to navigate. But cool minds prevail. Get the minds together. Come up with a solution. And I'm a big one on best practices. Look at those cities or areas that have done it well, that have succeeded, and say, man, what's the secret? But the fact is, we do a canvas trip. We've done 20 of them, James. We go look at other cities and come back. But then the tough part is implementation.
Yeah,
you gotta implement the changes. You got to take action. You can't just talk about it. And that's where, again, like I mentioned in my column on Plan Baton Rouge
that's
coming
where
up.
I was headed.
We got to quit talking about it, clicking likes and saying, oh, that's great. Get out there and get your hands dirty. Come out July 16th, 5 o'clock at the old state capitol. Tell them what you think needs to happen. This riverfront plan isn't just about a geographic area of our city. It's about our freaking image and brand for our city nationwide. I mean, we've got a riverfront, incredible one, and we got nothing. Basically, whereas other cities have done incredible things that attract tourists who bring in their own dollars. We're talking about tax dollars. These are tourists. They come in, they spend money, they pay sales taxes, they pay hotel taxes.
Yep.
I mean, they generate money in and out of our pocket. But, what kind of, tourism and what kind of convention business do we have compared to other cities? And when they have time off from their meetings, what is there to do? What do I go see? What do I do? I mean, y'all got a river. I just look at the water.
Pretty much. I mean, until the kid comes home, that's about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got casinos and now they're even on land.
Right.
They're not. They've left the water.
Well, Plan Baton Rouge Phase 3, we're going to be all over it right here, talking about it as often as we can. I have a concern that we're not going to dream big enough to be sure. But, I will be at every public meeting. I saw you at the one that was at the Arts and Science Museum to kick things off. Looking forward to much more continued discussion on the topic. And
I'm hoping all these groups, like Forum 225 and Leadership Baton Rouge and Honor Black Men and Junior League and all these groups together, Baton Rouge. Hey, tell your members, let's get out. This is our chance to speak up and share your dreams and do something as a community, because we need a big win for the community to pull Baton Rouge together and get momentum going forward.
Very well said. He is Rolfe McCollister. We always appreciate the time. Talk to you soon, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Here's news. God, that's always fun. And John can vouch for this. I did tell Janet to keep Rolfe away from the damn golf courses. Don't. We got 5 of them left, Breck. Don't touch them.
Come on.
Now they want to do a par 3 down Mid-City or down City Park. I'm here for that. We do a par 3. Where you at, Don? Good morning.
good?
I gotta stretch my legs.
Yeah. All right.
Sit down. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
as good as
concerned.
I can be.
Right. I mean, I didn't know if Brian even inquired on you today.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate you just looking out for me, man. Checking on my mental health and
You're so welcome. I mean, your
physical
well-being is
my well-being.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
I
appreciate
did
it.
nothing to deserve that. Absolutely nothing. Just come in here and just sit down, and start doing my show.
You you want to start with Independence Day, fireworks, illegal in East Baton Rouge Parish?
Oh yeah, sure they are.
I'm just asking.
No, I know they are. Yeah, I want to ask it through a different lens though. Like, does anybody actually call the cops on this? Because I don't think they do.
I would say more do than what you think. Now the issue is, police are dispatched in response to that area.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say the kids don't see or the individuals see the police, or the police may give a warning as far as, hey, you're in East Baton Rouge Parish, these are illegal.
Yeah.
If they come back, they may confiscate or charge
Ticket them.
those ones.
Yeah.
Maybe just drinking and driving, whatever you're doing, if you're going downtown. I'm just throwing stuff out. Whatever you want to do.
I'm gonna bring up downtown for the P3 app.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there have been incidents in the past.
At 4th of July.
At 4th of July.
It infuriates me that people still bring that up. I'm not going downtown. There was a shooting at the 4th. That was in 2007.
Yeah.
Now, there was another one, the Christmas parade last year. The Cortana Kiwanis downtown Christmas parade.
There was. But wasn't that another event or another?
Christmas parade was over with. Everybody was going home. And those who were still hanging around.
Oh, okay.
I say the parade was over with. The parade was still in progress. It was over with at the spot where
it happened.
Yeah. 737 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is time for Crimestoppers. Let's roll. Welcoming in Lieutenant Don Capola for Crimestoppers. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. How are you?
Doing very well. Doing very well. You
I
ready
wouldn't
for the 4th of
expect-
July?
I wouldn't expect anything less out of you. And I am ready. And, just talking before the show, it's like it's the 4th of July. Where has the time gone?
We're halfway through the year.
School
We're more than
will be
we're
back in.
I know.
Football would be. It's just slow down. Goodness,
Yeah. Yeah. And this one feels like it's moving quick.
very
Now,
fast.
Personally, I'm in a situation where, me and Christy, our oldest, is about to go off to college. So counting that down is like
Oh goodness.
unbelievably
Yes.
fast.
Yes,
But
it is.
But yeah, overall, the year's kind of flying by. So
It is, and we'll be talking about 2026 before you know it. And it's,
I know.
goodness, we're just now getting or most of us are just now getting used to saying 2025.
Right. So, that being said, 4th of July, it is that's coming up tomorrow. It's
Tomorrow.
all the normal reminders, right?
Yeah, but a lot of people get together. We want to remind people, even though Crimestoppers covers 8 parishes, fireworks in East Baton Rouge Parish is illegal. It has been illegal. Nothing has changed with that. Again, Mayor Edwards is having the fireworks show downtown, and go if you have nothing to do, go check it out. It's really nice.
Pretty awesome tradition.
Yeah.
It is a pretty awesome tradition. It's an incredible show. It's an impressive show every year. We have a little tradition in the Haldane house. So for the longest time, the 4th of July was like our holiday to host.
Okay.
Like we're gonna, one sister-in-law for Thanksgiving.
Right, yeah.
My cousin's house for Christmas Eve. Another cousin for Easter Sunday. Well, everybody used to come to our house for the 4th of July. That's kind of since dissipated. But along the way, we started this tradition where after barbecuing at the Haldane house all day, kids, take their bath, put on their pajamas, and then we'd go watch the fireworks on the levee from the North Boulevard overpass. But just come to a stop right there on the side, pull over to the
Right.
side of the road on the overpass. You could see the fireworks perfectly, and as soon as it's over with,
You're
boom,
out.
we're right back home.
You're not fighting the crowds.
Nope.
And
Nope, and it's an awesome show, and you can see everything from there. You can't hear the soundtrack that goes along with it, but I
that's
mean,
okay.
honestly,
No,
it's like
no.
you get to see the whole
You get to
thing
see the whole
from
thing.
from the overpass. So it's you got an elevated view.
Right,
Nothing's
right.
impeding your view.
And Brian, people make comments that downtown's not safe, and I'm not. That's not the case.
Okay, so I'm glad-
anywhere you go, you're gonna have the potential for incidents to occur.
Yes.
But they make a full day. There used to be a run. They have some vendors out. The U.S. says, "Go enjoy."
Well,
your day."
the kid's not there,
Well, not the kid's not there,
Yeah.
but in the past,
but the old state capitol's there,
right.
and we'll be open tomorrow as well. We're going to talk with Mary Durusau from the Capitol, the old Capitol, coming up at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Now, hey, but I'm glad you brought up about the quote unquote safe versus unsafe
Yeah.
part, because it was 2007. 2007 that the shooting happened at the fireworks on the levee. And oh, by the way, it happened after,
Right.
after.
Well,
You had to be hanging around for a while. And I'm not trying to victim blame saying they were hanging around
No,
too long,
no, no,
because you never want to do that. But for the overwhelming majority who go out there and then leave, go out there, it was a wonderful night until it wasn't.
until it was.
But even still, that was 2007 and it's 2025. And the only inkling of another instance that we had was at the Christmas parade last year. And even that was after the
After.
parade had passed through the part where that happened.
Where
So
that happened.
over the course of, however many years, you're talking about two instances. Two
Right.
instances over all those years, which, by the way, is
P3 tips out.
it's a good reminder to
It's a
have the
good
P3
reminder.
tips out. that is-
You can take pictures, you can video, you can get to us, or even just a quick message. Hey, this is what's going on,
Right.
and
In
we
real
can get
time.
that in real time. And we want to just remind people again, if you're going to consume any alcoholic beverages, have a plan, either a ride share, a designated driver, or you may make it a weekend and you may be staying downtown, and just don't get behind. No matter where you are, don't get behind the wheel after consuming alcoholic
100%.
beverages.
Which, but yeah, with the options that are out there, there's no excuse
There's
anymore.
no excuse.
It's just, and I understand that as you consume, your judgment goes away along with that impairment.
I'm fine. I'm okay.
So start the night with an
No,
Uber.
That's not.
Start the night with an Uber.
Yes.
And
Yes.
make your plan ahead of time. Don't wait until you're a couple of pops in before you start to try and make up your mind. Start the night with an Uber. Make your reservation. You talk about the downtown hotel rooms and how fantastic they are. Have you seen the new Bally's Hotel?
No, I have not.
Over at the Bell. Oh,
Nice.
top notch.
Top notch.
Top notch. So, yeah, make your plan ahead of time. Have the P3 app. Be ready for an overall fun night. I mean, an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of a good time.
There you go.
So, now if you're not going downtown, you're firing off fireworks at the house. I mean, they're not legal.
In East Baton Rouge Parish,
Yep.
they're not. And of course, I say that because again, Crimestoppers, we cover 8 parishes. People will call. Law enforcement will, respond to that area, and if they're still out, then they may contact these people. So, if it's an issue, go ahead and give law enforcement a call and let them, investigate in the area that these are coming from.
I think everybody has a different arbitrary definition of what is an issue. Like for
Well,
me,
and it is.
it's twofold for me. Okay, there's a window there from sundown till about 11 p.m. I'll go as far as midnight. If you're firing off fireworks within there, I think most reasonable people would agree that that's the window that it's going to happen.
Right.
Okay, if you are getting home from the bar at 2 a.m. and you want to, hey, y'all, watch this. That's a different story.
That's a different story.
And the other one is, I'm by no means an expert, but you can recognize the difference between fireworks and gunfire.
100%.
And that's when I will call. When it sounds like gunfire, that's when I'll call.
Right.
Sure.
And we want you to call. And even if you're unsure, just make the call. It doesn't hurt anything. So yeah.
All right. I think we covered 4th of July pretty well.
4th of July is
Good
good. So let's move on. We talk about fugitives, and we want to talk about the apprehension of one. There was a murder for hire investigation conducted by Iberville Parish Sheriff's Office August of 2024. Herman Harris was found shot to death in his Maryland home. We spoke about Giovanna Lewis. He was on the run, believed to be in the Mississippi area. A Crimestoppers tip assisted investigators in his location in Brandon, Mississippi, and he was apprehended for what's believed to be his connection in this investigation.
What?
Yes. We spoke of him on the show for a little bit. His charges are second-degree murder, solicitation for murder, criminal conspiracy, aggravated burglary, and obstruction of justice. Investigators had made some arrests prior to Giovanna Lewis's arrest. He was the last one they were looking for, had some ties in Mississippi. So Capital Region Crimestoppers did some work and communication with Crimestoppers in Mississippi. There's several Crimestoppers throughout the Mississippi area.
Okay.
And we anonymous tipster had come forward, provided a potential address for him. Investigators went to follow up on these tip, and he was apprehended in Brandon, Mississippi.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Great deal.
Good. Yeah. It's good to close that out here. Yeah, I'm reading the story right now. I don't remember this story, Don.
Yeah, this. I don't know. I mean, you're a busy man, and a lot goes on, and you have a lot on your plate. But yeah, it was a good deal.
Unreal. Okay. Who are we looking for today?
So we're going to start. The Baton Rouge Police Department is looking for Dimitri Eccles. Dimitri Eccles, 28 years old, on the charge of domestic abuse, aggravated assault, and domestic abuse battery. The victim in this investigation, a female acquaintance, they were having some verbal altercations going on, so she left the residence to diffuse everything, as someone would think they would do, and comes back around midnight, lays on the couch, trying to get some sleep. Well, she's awoken by him pouring hot water on her.
Oh, God.
Has a firearm in his hand, and a physical altercation ensued. There was a little tussle going on. She had some scrapes and bruises to her forehead. Not sure if she was struck by this firearm or if she this took place during the struggle, and then he runs out the residence. So
what's this guy's name?
Dimitri Eccles.
Dimitri Eccles.
28 years old, wanted by the Baton Rouge Police Department. The East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office is looking for Kendrick Williams, 46 years old, on charges of simple criminal damage to property, violations of protective order, and unauthorized entry of inhabited dwelling. Also, check out the Crimestoppers Facebook page.
I'm on it right now.
Yeah, it's Baton Rouge Police are looking for a stolen motorcycle.
Yeah, you get the ninja right on the front page there.
Occurred on East Boyd, and there's a picture of a truck and trailer believed to be the one that loaded this motorcycle up.
Okay.
2020 Kawasaki Ninja 400. It's taken from the 200 block of East Boyd. If you move down, there's a gentleman with a ladder. This guy posed as a maintenance worker, went into a business in the 300 block of South Foster.
Okay.
Took some computer equipment through Crimestopper tips. This individual has been identified, so we appreciate that. And also, a hit-and-run investigation occurred on June 15th around 8:30 p.m. on Chestnut. Investigators believe a 75-year-old female was walking home from the store, was struck by a vehicle that just continued. The driver of the vehicle never stopped, never offered to render any aid, just kept on going. So if you have any information regarding this 75-year-old female who was struck by a vehicle on Chestnut, walking home from the store, give Crimestoppers a call, 344-7867. Use the P3 Tips app, and whatever information you have, we appreciate it.
He is Lieutenant Don Capola. I was thinking about you the other day, Don.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
You mean the Orleans Parish prison break?
Yeah.
That happened back on May 16th?
May 16th.
They found the 9th of the 10 that broke out.
Right.
They found the 9th of them earlier this week. He was 5 minutes away from the prison.
5 minutes away.
What a reminder that just because, a little time has passed between a crime and the present day, just because a little bit of time has passed doesn't mean that we need to stop being vigilant. This guy was found, a month and a half later, 5 minutes away from the prison.
5 minutes away.
Right. That's it's again, head on a swivel at all times.
Yes, that's a good point, and keep that P3 Tips app handy.
Always do.
And you remain anonymous.
And have a safe and happy 4th of July. He's Lieutenant Don Capola. We always appreciate the time. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Just flows. So good. You have a great day.
You do the same always.
Know where I'm at.
Oh.
What a gorgeous day.
You do what?
It's a gorgeous day.
It is.
It's hot, but
It's gonna be hot all day.
could
It's
be
gonna rain.
worse.
It's gonna rain pretty good on Saturday.
Is that system?
No, that system's out in the Atlantic.
Or is,
We don't have to worry about that. So
but I would take 110 degrees every day, not to worry about any
Depends on the store.
Well, any major.
Yeah.
I'm about over that shit. Be good, sir.
Yeah. It's about right.
Oh, you're doing a great job. You need something, just let us know. No. I'm just a peon, bro.
Hey, 2 weeks. 2 weeks I'll be on vacation.
Yeah, remind me next week.
Okay. Haggai will be in on Thursday if you still want to do it, but Haggai comes in at 6:30 with me on Thursdays.
We'll talk next week.
Okay.
See you later.
Later. .756 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got a busy third hour coming your way, which means that we're bumping this day in history up to right about now. Yeah.
All right, let's move this right along.
Yeah.
1863, the Battle of Gettysburg, the largest battle ever fought on the American continent, ends in a major victory for the Union during the U.S. Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
1886, in Germany, Carl Benz drives the first automobile in Mannheim at a top speed of 10 miles an hour.
10 miles an hour?
Just slow down there.
Slow it down, man.
That's what I'm saying. Let's see, 1938, President Franklin Roosevelt dedicates the Eternal Light Peace Memorial and lights the Eternal Flame at Gettysburg Battlefield.
Okay.
1985, this is really appropriate here, Back to the Future is released this day.
Really?
1985.
I didn't realize that.
86, U.S. President Reagan presides over relighting of renovated Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
So that happened. Anything else on your end?
No, not really. Nothing really worthwhile. We had most of my stuff is birthdays today.
Yeah, you want to start there?
Sure.
I got Tom Cruise on my list. I've got also actor Patrick Wilson as well.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Kurtwood Smith as well.
Who?
Oh, Red Fox from that 70s show. He was in, of course, RoboCop. He was in, I think he was in Rambo as well.
Yeah. Okay, now I know who you're talking about.
That guy's been old forever, though.
Yes, he has.
He really has. Born in 1943.
Yep.
Let's see. Anybody else on yours?
So you had Tom Cruise. Did you have Julian Assange?
I believe, yep.
Yep.
I believe so.
Franz Kafka was born on this day in 1883. Darn it, I had one more on there. No, everything else is a death. Sorry, you covered the good ones.
Williams on here.
Oh wow! All right.
Deaths starting with Jim Morrison.
Yep.
Andy Griffith. Let's see. Also, oh no, probably. You know what? Let's go with this guy, Brian Jones. He was in the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
He was actually founder of the Rolling Stones.
Rudy Valley died on this day in 1986. You had also. Where did he go? I hate the way my page is laid out here. Andy Griffith. Yep. And you had Jim Morrison. That was the big one. What national day you got?
Well, I got National Air Conditioning Appreciation Day.
Okay.
How's that?
That
Stay
works.
Out of the Sunday?
Do what?
National Stay Out of the Sunday?
That works too. We can do either one of those. I had for National Day today, if I can physically scroll down here. Oh, by the way, it's also Olivia Munn's birthday. That was the one that I was looking for there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Air Condition Appreciation Day on my front as well. So,
Nice.
All right, that's your look at this day in history, which is, of course, presented by the folks over at 5 Star Printing and Signs. 271-4096 is the phone number to get a hold of Danny and his team at 5 Star Printing and Signs. Tell you every day about the importance of branding right now more than ever. Get your name out there. 271-4096. That's Mary? Thank you. I appreciate it. Changed a lot of this to make it more video friendly. So the Facebook camera's right there, Facebook and YouTube all the time. So this will be you here, and it's Durusau on the back end. Okay. See, I was the ones I sent over were nowhere close. It'll be about 8 minutes long for the segment. Oh, we're up in 5 minutes from now, but the segment will be about 8 minutes long. So it's going to be over before you know it. We'll have we'll get to talk. It'll be fun. Yeah, of course. I don't we don't celebrate Baton Rouge enough, and the Old State Capitol is probably top 3 of attractions. Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. My mom brought my son out there last weekend. Little 2-hit combo between the Old State Capitol and the Arts and Science Museum. I think they had Dino Day. Was what? Yeah. It's a gay pride parade in between. So nice explaining that to my 9-year-old. Yeah. I need to go to the old Governor's Mansion to get the actual tour. The only time I'm ever at the old Governor's Mansion is for Mike Strain's fall ball. So, not bad. Right. Okay. I do need to check that out. You just duck out. Ah, okay. Yeah. Rob, we thought you were coming in for the whole show, man. 6 a.m. You're going to get more out of staying after the show, and he'll kind of just shadow as he posts everything. Oh, I know.
If I had to get up that time of day, I would just get up and leave.
I walk through the front door at 5 every morning. So.
Do you really?
Yep. The TV people, they're in there at like 3.
I know. Well, my first job was at an afternoon newspaper, and I went to work like at 5:30 in the morning or something. It was rough.
.806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing, and we are starting to creep up on the temperature just a little bit. We're up to 81 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We got a busy third hour for you. Going to recap the legislative session with State Representative Jerome Zee Zeringue coming up in our next segment. Going to get the breakdown of what went on with the Idaho 4 and that verdict as Brian Kohlberger accepts a plea deal in the fatal stabbing of 4 Idaho college students. We're going to hear from the man who literally wrote the book on this, Howard Blum, the author of When the Night Comes Falling, going to join us at 8:40. And we're going to check in with the old state capitol. What's going on over there in just a little bit. Mary Durusau's in studio. I need 60 seconds before that to remind you about the folks over at the Louisiana Beef Industry Council firing up the grill tomorrow for the 4th of July. Beef. It's whatsfordinner.com is the website. They bring you Foodie Friday all summer long. Of course, no Foodie Friday this week because we are off for the 4th of July. We'll be right back at it next week, and we'll be back at it all through quote-unquote grilling season, although here in Louisiana, I make the argument that it's always grilling season, and throwing some beef on a hot grill is just the way to roll. That's the way I'll be rolling tomorrow for sure. I think we're going with beef ribs. I will have some boudin out there, have some chicken out there, but the beef is going to be the star of the show, and as it should be. It reigns supreme. It rules. If you need some recipes, some tips, some tricks, some hacks, check out beef. It's what's for dinner.com. All right. Old State Capitol's going to be open tomorrow.
Yes, it is. You may be off, Brian, but we are going to be open.
Okay, let's talk about it. What is going on at the Old State Capitol right now? What can we expect exhibit-wise when we go?
Well, the Old State Capitol is 175 years old this year, and so we are celebrating our birthday by giving a birthday gift to the community. So we're going to be open from 10 to 4 tomorrow.
Okay.
People are welcome to come out and picnic on the grounds. We have a beautiful, massive live oak tree that's between 200 and 300 years old.
Okay.
Yes, and then they can come in and cool off. We have fabulous air conditioning. And we're going to have some crafts for the kids, some coloring, some flag quizzes. We're going to be showing our wonderful award-winning movie, The Ghost of the Castle. It's about a 12-minute, very Disney-like presentation of the history of the building. And we're going to be showing that all day for free. And just a lot of fun. And we currently have a really timely exhibit about the First Amendment. And so that is a wonderful thing for people to come and visit on the 4th of July.
Walk us through that. What's featured in the First Amendment exhibit?
Well, of course, the First Amendment really, it's because the framers of the Constitution, they knew that there were things that they had not covered in the Constitution. And so they empowered the first Congress to write the Bill of Rights. That was going to be one of their first tasks. And so it's important, I think, to note that the First Amendment is the one that encompasses freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to petition the government, freedom of assembly. And so our exhibit puts all of that together, and I think it's very good. The freedom of speech section particularly captures the children's attention because we have such a range of items. So we have literally an original copy of Uncle Tom's Cabin, which was very controversial at the time it was written and published, because it was anti-slavery, pro-abolitionist, and people wanted to ban the book. Banning books is kind of counter to free speech.
Yes, it is.
In the same case, though, we have a beautiful LSU gymnastics leotard that belonged to Livy Dunn, because speech now, as you know, is not just what you and I say out loud or what we write on paper. It's what's posted on Facebook. It's what's on Instagram. Speech has a broadened meaning now. And so we're trying to represent that. Speech is a lot of different things now than what people might have imagined 249 years ago.
No, completely. Completely. It's your words literally get halfway around the world in under a minute.
Right, exactly. And then we also talk about freedom of the press, critical right. Freedom of assembly. We have some wonderful photographs from the civil rights era. And, there were very important things that happened in downtown Baton Rouge, the bus boycott,
yes,
the sit-in at the Crest drugstore.
Yep. So
freedom of assembly, very important. And then, of course, freedom of religion, which was one of the reasons that people came to the United States to begin with. So it's a very timely exhibit. We have a little comment box where we ask people to fill out a little form, and it's mostly the kids that do it. And we ask them, which of the four sacred freedoms has affected their life the most, and by far, all of the kids say it's speech.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That they are very enamored by the fact that we have free speech, and they want that to continue. But you also get really funny comments, like we got something from a young man who said free speech means he has to listen to other people's dumb opinions.
It's about right.
Well,
right.
Okay. There's the good and the bad.
Well,
what can I tell you?
I hear you. And I'm sure somebody else has said the same about him. So
I think so.
We got just a couple minutes left with Mary Durusau from the Old State Capitol. Talking about, you get the free speech, you get the First Amendment exhibit going on. Can we spend a minute on the Ghost of the Castle as well?
Oh, sure.
Because this has been a staple over there.
It is.
Yeah.
That was Jay Darden's baby.
Yeah.
That was created under his administration, and it's just timeless. It tells the story of the building, and it's very entertaining. It's good for all ages. The other thing that we have going on is that we have a Smithsonian exhibit on water. It's a traveling exhibit. We have traveling exhibits that come in every 3 or 4 months. And it is fabulous. fabulous, and it talks about.
Oh,
I mean, we
water?
kind of take water for granted here because we're surrounded by it, and there's plenty of it.
Yeah.
But that's not true for everybody. And the amazing thing about this exhibit is it talks about that water is really a finite resource.
Mhm.
You don't make new water. Water gets recycled.
Yes.
And one of my favorite pieces in it, there are lots of videos and things, of course, because it's the Smithsonian. They do things so well. But one of my favorites, there's a flip chart where you can pick an object, and it will tell you how many gallons of water it takes to produce a pair of blue jeans, how many gallons of water it takes to produce a pound of chicken.
Wait, how many gallons of water it takes to make a pair of blue jeans?
Right.
I didn't know it took any.
Well, it does, apparently.
Okay.
And so, but it's very thought provoking
Okay.
about how are we going to preserve water? How are we going to make sure it's clean? How are we going to, and it's one of those things, like I say, we really do take it for granted here.
Mhm.
In fact, there are times when we just have too much of it, in fact.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are on that end of the spectrum, to
Yeah.
be sure. We've got less than 2 minutes to go with Mary Durusau from the Old State Capitol. Okay. The Old State Capitol has visitors come in from everywhere, from up the street, from halfway around the world, from wherever.
Absolutely.
What is the most frequent question you get?
Well, the first one is, did Huey Long die there? Which, no, he did not. He was assassinated at the new state capitol. But we have what I think is a very good exhibit about the assassination, and it has some fabulous film clips in it from the 1935 era from UCLA.
Yeah.
The best film clips, they're just crystal clear.
Yeah.
They're so good.
I've seen this exhibit. And
Yeah.
Okay. And this is a scary little story here. With Weiss's gun that's
Yes.
on display. So I was in that part of the room, and the audio was like looped and on repeat and kept getting stuck on the most sinister, scary couple of notes. And I'm like in there with the gun, and you got the hologram thing going on over here, and the lighting's all off, and I'm like, ooh, I just walked back in time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a powerful exhibit.
It is. It really is. And so that's probably the most common question we get. And we have to say, no, he was governor here.
Right.
He was governor here.
He was governor there and built the new state capitol, but basically from there. It was kind of his headquarters at the time to look across downtown and see what was to come.
He hated our building. He didn't like it at all. He didn't like it before he was governor. I know he didn't like it after he got impeached there. But he was always determined there was going to be. He always wanted something shiny and new.
Yes.
He's also responsible for the old governor's mansion, which he also built.
Mm-hmm.
And he built that to look like the White House because he thought he was going to run for president and win. And he wanted to feel at home in the White House. He wanted to know where everything was.
Yeah. In fact,
So we'll have to come back and talk about the old governor's mansion.
Yes, we absolutely should, because there's not. I don't think we do enough to celebrate what we've got going on here in Baton Rouge. In fact, I'm looking at your pen right now, teaming up with Visit Baton Rouge for
Right.
y'all are the new logo there.
We are the new logo. They have adopted the quatrefoil as their logo, and we are thrilled.
Hopefully, it's sending you some more people because it's intriguing.
Well, right now we are so blessed. That bowling tournament that's going on downtown at the river.
Are
River
you
Center.
overwhelmed with bowlers?
Oh, we have hot and cold running people. I'm telling you, it's wild, and we
Awesome
love it.
stuff.
It's great, and we still are getting international tourists. I was sharing with you yesterday. We had somebody from Poland, somebody from the Philippines, somebody from Austria, and someone from Australia. And these are people who just walk in the door.
Just walk in the door, see
Yeah.
what's going on in that castle over there.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And we are so happy to have her, but we really want everybody to come out and celebrate the 4th with us.
10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They will be open tomorrow, and like Mary said, the air conditioner will be working very, very well. It's going to be
Absolutely.
nice to step out of the heat for a little bit. Mary, we always appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Thank you. It's 8:15 at Talk 107.3 FM. We're running a minute or so late. We'll check in with Zee Zeringue next. That went way too fast.
I'm sorry. I hope I didn't go too bad.
That was
too
no,
long.
that was way too awesome. That was
Thank
very
you
good.
so much. Okay, I'm going to be calling you back.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
stuff.
whatever you
And
got
look,
going
if
on.
y'all ever want us to do anything, let me know.
Yes, I just don't know what yet. I love that building so much.
Well, come on down. We'll give you a big behind-the-scenes tour, take you up above the dome.
I've never been up there.
Well, I don't go above the dome anymore because it's too high for me to climb. But
Well, hell,
yeah.
the staircase gives me vertigo.
Well, this is the little spiral that goes
Okay.
up. I mean, it's tall. It's tall. It's tall. But yeah, you definitely need to do the old governor's mansion though, because that is.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
some
I've
great
been there for
stories.
social occasions. I've never
Yeah, you've
gotten
been
the
there
formal.
you've been there for the fall ball. I know.
Right.
That's where Mike's had it for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
I don't miss that thing for the world.
well, I haven't been in a couple of years. I need to go, but don't you just love Mike Strahan?
I do.
What a good guy.
I do.
You know.
And we're both from St. Tammany Parish.
Oh, are you?
So, yeah. So
Where in St. Tammany?
I'm Covington.
Covington.
Or ish.
Ish.
Yeah, he comes on the show once a month.
He's cool.
And when I first started doing that, everybody was like, "You're going to have the ag commissioner on every month?"
Oh,
And I'm like, "To do what, a farm report?" And I'm like, "No, to tell stories."
Oh, he knows more stuff. And look, we're an ag state, people.
Yes.
We're an ag state.
So we talk more agribusiness.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
But like, the lieutenant governor likes to say, if you can grow it, shoot it, catch it, or dance to it, we have a festival for it. Well, 3 of those 4 things run through his office.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we have it? So it started off as one segment like we just did, and now the second Thursday of every month from 8:15 until the end of the
I
show.
gotta mark my calendar.
Yeah.
I've caught it before, but I just didn't know that it was a regular
Every month.
thing.
Every
That's
month.
terrific. Well, thank y'all so much. Okay, I'm just going to make my way back down to the elevator and hope that I can get out.
You're good to go, Mary. Thank you. I don't think I was ready for her energy. She was way better than I was expecting. I thought I was going to have to carry that, and she knocked it out the damn park. That's awesome. The Old State Capitol. Yeah. And the first Sunday of every month is free, by the way. I want to see that water exhibit. $8:20 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. We're running a little bit long here. Let's go right to the hotline where State Representative Zee Zeringue is. Zee, how are you, man?
I'm great, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing very well as well. We're still unpacking everything you guys got done over the last couple months over at the state capitol. So I appreciate you hopping on board for a little bit of your view of how the session went. I want to get into one thing you did in a little bit, but I want to start off with the overall view of the session. Give me the overall grade. Tell me what some of your takeaways were.
Well, I guess the Stones put it best is you can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. And I think that's kind of the perspective we took. And overall, we've addressed some critical issues. You know, we chipped away at insurance. Did some things to improve that, both property and auto. But the challenge is those things aren't a quick fix or a quick turnaround, and they're not a silver bullet. And some of those will take a couple years to manifest the benefit that we hope to achieve. And there's still some things that need to be done. But I think that restructuring DOTD, taking money from revenue stabilization, although the intent originally for that fund was well-intentioned, but the reality of achieving that would have been difficult. So utilizing some of those funds to do some immediate work that we need right now, I think is a good thing too. So overall, I'd give it about a B minus, but that's shooting the grade scale, that's pretty good right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, who was it I had on about a week ago? We had Alan Seabaugh on. He says, I've sat through DNF sessions, so I know what they look like. This was definitely not that, to be sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I know my first term in 2016, that's when we had that significant deficit, and we were, addressing a lot of fiscal issues. Not only we had, the problems that persist throughout the state you have to address, but the significant fiscal issue that we had to address. Now, fortunately, we weren't in that fiscal situation. We're in a much better position now. But I think we've done some things with taxes and other opportunities to address the budget and make it more in terms of beneficial to both the citizens and businesses throughout the state. So I think we've made some positive inroads in that regard as well.
We're talking with Jerome Zee Zeringue. State Representative Zeringue is with us, recapping the legislative session. Zee, got to ask you about the continuity here, because one of the things that we've been notorious for in the past in our legislature is doing a couple things and then just letting them ride without the follow-up. Are we finally starting to see where when you guys break from one session and reconvene in the next session, there's a little bit more continuity to make sure that a step in the right direction doesn't stop after one step?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, there's always going to be somewhat of a disconnect because things change, and as issues change, or if they're a crisis or something, heaven forbid, hopefully we can go a couple years without a storm. But if things that impact or cause us to reconsider things that we're currently working on, obviously that's changed. But for the most part, I think now with the House and the Senate and the majority that's there, focusing on addressing a lot of the issues and knowing that it's not a one session fix, that some of these things we have to build on. I mean, that was obvious the last session where a lot of the things that thought were going to happen in terms of constitutional amendments or restructuring the budget, it's failed. So we had to come back and rethink it. But I think the goal and the purpose is consistent in where we're headed. And as long as we keep focused on that, I think we can maintain some of that continuity. But again, issues change, and as it affects, one of the challenges always is, addressing the greater good, but also of how it affects your district. And I think there's still some disconnect in terms of the perspective of, hey, look, I may not always agree with you. I'll do what I can, but first and foremost, I'm here representing my district, and you have to do what's in the best interest of the people you represent. And there's always going to be that challenge.
Well, you talk about priorities changing from session to session. Are we too reactive versus proactive? I mean, we do seem to have, not so much in a fiscal session, but in a regular session, a lot of bills proposed that feel like they're, quote unquote, ripped from the headlines, where we're reacting to something going on socially versus mapping out our future the way we should be.
Well, that's just, again, part of human nature. When we see it either on TV, Facebook, others, if it's the hot issue, a lot of constituents, they want their representative to address it. I mean, obviously we had a bunch of things from chemtrails to ivermectin to those things that people on the grand scheme of things, actually may not address some of the critical issues in terms of budgeting and other things that we need to address in the state. But those are the issues that seem to get a lot of attention simply because that's on the pulse of the public and what constituents want to hear. So, yes, there's no doubt that we are reactive. I mean, there's no better example than after a storm or event. I mean, we should be every year and putting ourselves in a position that when we do experience these events, which we know they're going to happen, I mean, hell, it's South Louisiana, we're going to get storms. We need to put ourselves in a more fiscally stable and a ability to react in a consistent manner and have the resources that are needed. But it's hard to plan because, again, if the money is there and there's no critical issue, then people want it to go to projects and other things too. So it's always a balancing act. But I think we're getting better in doing things and putting things in place and ensuring that we have the resources we need to address issues and not be as reactive. But we're always going to react to a lot of the hot button issues that currently exist.
Couple of things going on. You say it's South Louisiana, and we know that certain things will happen. One of those things is the dead zone where the Mississippi River meets the Gulf. You put forth a resolution urging and requesting the governor to enhance Louisiana's participation in the Gulf of America Hypoxia Action Plan and Task Force. What is our role now, and what would you like our role to be?
Well, there's no doubt that the hypoxic issue, and again, for everybody out there, that is essentially the nutrients that go down the Mississippi River, but primarily from effluent from sewer systems, chemical plants, fertilizers, and other things just that are going into the river that go out, and we're at the end, and it goes into the Gulf of Mexico, and it creates these algal blooms that ultimately die off, sink to the bottom, and cause a large section of the Gulf of Mexico to be oxygen starved, and that affects fisheries to a great degree. And then it fluctuates depending upon, the flow of the river and all these other things. But there's no doubt that we in Louisiana and our fisheries are experiencing the problem, but we are not the culprits in terms of causing that problem. It's really upriver, and we're just kind of on the butt end. So we have participated. There is a hypoxia task force that is working, fortunately, more toward getting all the states involved and looking at ways that we can reduce what is going into the river, which ultimately will benefit our fisheries in the Gulf of Mexico. So what this request, this resolution, is to engage additional agencies and resources within the state, asking the governor to do that so we'd have more participation and have more, ultimately, I hope, an influence on the outcome in terms of how we can address this issue and benefit the people and the resources in Louisiana and the Gulf of America. I apologize. I think I said previously Gulf of Mexico, but the Gulf of America, which is affected by this hypoxic issue.
All right, it's going to be a minute before we stop saying Gulf of Mexico. I still call them the San Diego Chargers, for crying out loud. So that takes some adaptation, to be sure. How far away are we from a possible solution here to where we wouldn't see that hypoxic zone, that dead zone?
Well, Brian, the unfortunate reality is I don't think we'll ever get to a solution where we will resolve it. I think simply because of how we farming practices, too, have a lot of issues. And I think what we're doing is working with farmers and nutrients in terms of capturing that, using beneficial use of fertilizer in terms of maybe using plants like, soybeans and others that put nitrogen in the soil as opposed to using artificial or chemical fertilizers, and changing how we farm, and also capturing that water and maybe using wetland barriers before it gets into the river. So there are things that we're working within the Farm Bill. There are things that we are doing working with cities and other entities to reduce that outflow. But I think simply because of the way the river is and how we drain 43% of the United States. I mean, we always joke, you flush a toilet in Montana and ultimately it works its way to the mouth of the Mississippi. So it's just the way it is. We're in the into this basin, and also it's always going to work this way. But I think we're making some advancements in benefiting how it's addressed, and ultimately for the benefit of the Gulf of America.
Last one before we get you out of here, and I greatly appreciate your time this morning, Z, and that is give me one piece of legislation that made its way through that you had your hands directly on that maybe your name wasn't on.
That my name wasn't on. Well, obviously, sitting on appropriations, it's great to work with Jack, the chair, and also the appropriations committee. Again, the folks on that committee put in a lot of time. It's just inherent that in Ways and Means. You put more time than most other committees. And I think just working through the budget this year, I think we crafted a good budget. The House and the Senate worked together to address a lot of critical needs, and I think those are the things in terms for our perspective locally, obviously coastal restoration and looking at things for resiliency for coastal communities. Those, I think, are beneficial. Also, I worked on some issues to help supplemental pay for firemen and continuing to work on judicial reform. I'll continue to do that, and I think that's something that we need to work on. But primarily, I'd say where we are with the budget is going to benefit long-term in terms of what we've done this session.
He is Zee Zeringue. We always appreciate the time, sir. Have yourself a great 4th of July. Thanks for stopping by.
You too, Brian. Happy 4th, everyone.
Likewise. It's 8:32. We blew right past ABC News. Here's your local news, traffic, weather. We'll continue next. It's ADD radio for sure. The next segment is not going to relate to the last segment. It takes a big news event for me to string a number of segments together. I try to cover as much ground as possible.
Nice. What are we talking about next?
the guy that was just sentenced in Idaho for killing 4 college students. It's a news story on Thursday. We talked about it on Monday. How about that? How about being 3 days ahead of the news cycle on that one? Last night. Yeah, I'm not reading that. Oh. Give me my out time too, please. He's not gonna be on until 8:40.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh.
So what have you been up to around you?
Shit.
That's awesome. Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, man. I might hand the board over to you in the last segment. Yeah, man. You got that. Oh, yeah, yeah. I know, right? It's that 4th of July playlist. You want to read it or play it?
I got it. Hang on.
Just check.
All right, time to check in on our forecast. What are we looking at for the 4th of July weekend? Well, hot would be a good place to start. as today's high is expected to get up into the mid-90s once again. In fact, 94 is your high today. Tomorrow, slightly cooler, though. Tomorrow, we're going to top out at about 90 degrees. Overnight low tonight into tomorrow morning, about 76. We'll get down to 74 on Friday night into Saturday morning. Now, Saturday, not to skip right past the 4th of July, but Saturday, we're now looking at a 20% chance of rain. Earlier in the week, that was around a 50% chance of rain. Well, that 50% chance of rain has now been pushed back to Sunday, Monday, and on into next week. Circling back around to tomorrow with the high of 90. Going to be sunny skies all day long for the 4th of July tomorrow. So if you are firing up the grill, if you're hitting up the pool, if you're going to be outdoors in any way, shape, or form, it will be ideal, to be sure. And as we get towards tomorrow evening, what we're looking at here is tomorrow night, 9 p.m. That is when the fireworks start on the levee downtown. We're looking at 9 p.m. being 82 degrees. So up to 90 during the day, but cooling off just a little bit before those fireworks start in downtown Baton Rouge. Right now, we are sunny and 83. Oh, good. This song.
Come on, man. You feel
Last
it?
Friday, while we were all waiting for Jeff Landry and RFK Jr. and Senator Patrick McMath for their bill signing, they were piping this through.
Okay.
As all the guests were arriving, the dignitaries were rolling in. You got the press all, cordoned off in the back with their cameras all set up, and we're hearing this one pop off over the speakers that were in the room. So, yeah. All right, it is 8:39 to Talk 107.3 FM. About to roll over to 8:40 here, and we're going to get into a conversation with Howard Blum. Howard is the author of When the Night Comes Falling, a Requiem for the Idaho Student Murders. It was earlier this week that Brian Koberger offered a plea deal in the Idaho College murders. He has accepted that plea deal. He will not get the death penalty. But he will remain in prison for the rest of his life. Let's talk about response to this. Let's talk about if things played out the way they were expected to. Let's welcome Howard to the show. Howard Blum, welcome aboard. How are you?
Good to speak to you this morning.
No, glad to have you on here. We're going to get to the book in just a minute, but I got to start with immediate reaction to the plea deal and how things played out for Brian Koberger. What was the immediate reaction?
Well, my reaction is one of anger and rage. I think it was a very cynical, pragmatic decision by the state of Idaho, by the state's prosecutor. They had all the cards in the weeks leading up to it. The judge has just thrown out Koberger's alibi. He had thrown out any possibility that other perpetrators were involved. They were holding all the cards, and yet the state said, enough. They lacked the will to go forward, and now Koberger will spend his life in jail rather than facing a firing squad.
The firing squad? I didn't know that's how they did in Idaho.
The state legislature passed a law, arguably just for Brian Koberger, that the death penalty would be fulfilled in Idaho by firing squad.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're talking with Howard Blum, the author of When the Night Comes Falling, a Requiem for the Idaho Student Murders. Howard, I understand that your sentiment is echoed by the families of the victims. Is that about right?
Some of the families said, let's just move on. Let's get this over with. Nothing's going to bring back our children, and we don't want to go through the appeal process. But other families are enraged, and they're also enraged by the cavalier way that the prosecution, the state of Idaho, informed them of this, just with an email. After 2.5 years, after years of discussion, they just sent an email, said, by the way, we're going to make a plea deal in 3 days, and make sure you can get to the courtroom in Boise. And that filled them with rage. And they will never have any answers why their children were chosen, why Koberger went to this house, if he ever even met with any of them. There's no evidence of any interaction. How long he planned this? Did he leave the knife sheath which had DNA behind on purpose, or was this an accident? Question, where is the knife that was involved in the murders? I mean, I lay out what happened that night in my book, I hope in some very convincing detail, but the definitive answers still remain out there, and the families need to know that, I feel.
Okay, let's pivot over to the book, When the Night Comes Falling. This is, I want to say, as close to, in real time as you can get. I mean, the book was out before the trial was over with. Walk me through that process of your, how your background played into being able to put this project together.
I was a New York Times reporter for many years, and I was sitting around the Thanksgiving table 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, just about when the murders occurred, and the talk went on these murders, and I was, fascinated. I made a professional career digging into mysteries. At this point, there wasn't even a suspect. There was no reason why, and so I spoke with my editor, hightailed it out the next day to Moscow, Idaho, and started knocking on doors, and spent the next year or so putting the pieces in the puzzle together.
And what were some of those pieces? Because I know we followed down here in South Louisiana, we followed the periphery of the story. I mean, everybody's got their own things going on, and half the nation's paying attention to Diddy. So walk us through what you found along the way within the story.
Well, one of the most fascinating parts of it all was, who is Bryan Kohberger? He was a young man. He was 28 at the time of the murders, who grew up in a hardscrabble town in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. He was 150 pounds overweight. He was a poor student. He was a heroin addict, and yet he manages to change his life around. He loses the weight. He becomes a vegan. He starts working out, taking boxing. He moves from a community college to DeSalle University and studies criminal justice. And he decides to study criminal justice, and he gets into a graduate program at Washington State University across the country, which is 9 miles from the murder house. And while there, he's trying to reinvent his life, and yet he can't. Biology is sort of destiny, who he is. He's an outsider. He's an angry young man, and he sees these young kids who are young, exuberant, having parties. The house where the murders occurred is a party house. These were, very good-looking children, undergraduates, and he felt resentment that he was, I believe, alienated from all they were, the life they were living, and the only way he felt he could continue in this world, and this is my hypothesis, was if they were eliminated. And he targeted specifically one young woman. So what happens is, on the night of the murders, he drives by the house not once, not twice, but 3 times. And during this time, he's not stalking the house, but he's trying to find the will to become a monster, to become what he's been thinking in his mind, to become a killer. And he has a 7-inch bladed K-bar knife that he bought on Amazon. And he finally parks his car on the top of the hill, turns off the ignition. At that moment, when he exits the car with the knife sheath in his hand, he's decided to become a killer. He enters through the kitchen sliding door of the kitchen. He goes up one flight to this one woman's bedroom, Maddie Mogan, and instead of finding just Maddie there as he planned, her best friend is staying there that night, Kaylee. And so now he has to kill 2 women. That's not the plan that he had in his mind. And he leaves the knife sheath behind. Coming down the stairs, there's another woman who's been awakened by the ruckus. He has to kill her too. He kills her boyfriend. And then he's coming out of the house, and another young woman, another student there, sees him. And she can't speak. She's locked in this fear, sudden state of panic. Does he see her? I don't think so. I think he's locked in his own armory of hate, and he just walks out. If she had spoken, I believe he would have killed her too. But instead, she goes downstairs to another student's bedroom, and they spend the next 8 hours before they notify the police. During that time, they're not sleeping. They're on social media. They're calling friends, but they do nothing. That's part of the mystery of the case. But Bryan Kohberger then escapes, and he is not picked up till 7 weeks later. A manhunt identifies a bit of DNA on the knife sheath that was left behind.
Wow. Was the 8-hour part of this, I'd actually forgotten about that since the beginning. The 8-hour part of this, was all that time spent with the social media and whatnot related to the murder, or was that just like mentally clocked out?
It was mentally clocked out. They were on job sites They were on Instagram. They had a couple of calls to their parents, but nothing to the police. Finally, after 8 hours, they still don't call the police. They get friends from a fraternity to come by. These friends discover the bodies. The moment was too large for these two young women to process, to respond to in any rational, reasonable way. One of them would have had to go on the stand if there had been a trial and say that she identified Kohberger. She saw a man with bushy eyebrows, and that was going to be part of the case, her bushy eyebrows. There also was a DoorDash delivery driver there at 4 a.m. One of the young women was awake at 4 a.m. and getting a food delivery. She claimed, too, that she saw Kohberger. That would have been part of the evidence. So they had a fairly convincing case to move forward if the state had the will to move forward.
We got about a minute left with Howard Blum, the author of When the Night Comes Falling. Howard, I want to spend that minute talking about your interaction with the families along the way. Have you been able to what has that interaction been like, and has there been any solace for them at all throughout this journey?
I don't think there's been any real solace for these families. Some have responded in different ways. The Chapin family has set up a foundation. They want to move on. Their son who was murdered was one of triplets. While Steve Gonsalves, his daughter Kaylee, Steve Gonsalves has been filled with rage, filled with anger, understandably. At one point he said, you send your daughter off to college and she comes home to you in a box. That stuck with me as a father of 3 kids. And one can understand his feeling of anger. And he was unhappy with the way the investigation moved forward, with the delays. And now he's furious that this case has been settled. And in many ways, he has become another victim of this entire episode, as the town of Moscow and all the families involved.
The book is called When the Night Comes Falling, A Requiem for the Idaho Student Murders. He's author Howard Blum. I can't tell you how much I appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
Thank you. I like talking with you, too.
Likewise. Thank you. That's horrific. And, yeah, he mentioned that he's a father of 3, as am I. I mean, like, literally 4 weeks from tomorrow, I'll be dropping my daughter off at school. It's 8:50. Here comes your money now. We'll close out next. I gotta squeeze in 2 live reads. Rougarou promo. Who was 7:15? Rolfe is featured. Headline: Blame Broom.
Okay.
E on the end of Broom, by the way. Jeez. Galen says, fairly convincing case. Sounds cut and dry to me, especially with DNA evidence. Yeah. Galen, I'm with you. I think he was kind of underscoring it a little bit on the way out. Craig says, a bit incomplete to say water is a finite resource that it recycles, but then say it takes X amount of water to make a particular product. Did we lose that water all of a sudden, or did it recycle as well? Yeah, no, it all recycles until it's too contaminated to do so. It's a finite resource, and you're not going to create more hydrogens and oxygens together. It's like when people talk about investments and they say invest in land because God ain't making any more of it. Same is true of water. Why no elocution? Isn't that the norm? I would have thought so. Also, yeah. What? So I guess that was part of the plea deal. Oh shit! Why did I close that? I need that. The outside in is going to be about fireworks shows.
You're ready, man.
Oh, Matt says, hope you all have a great 4th and come back with all your fingers. Yeah, who doesn't love fireworks? Raise your hook hand. .856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hang on. Dropped my pencil. Sorry. I just slid right out of my fingers. It's the weirdest thing. Oh, you heard that spot right there at the break. Ronnie Rance talk about the Rougarou this weekend for 4th of July festivities. Don't forget you can enjoy a VIP experience with the Talk 107.3 team and the Baton Rouge Rougarou when they welcome in the Acadiana Cane Cutters next Friday. That'd be July 11th. Food and beverages will be provided. Register today under the contest page at talk1073.com. I got a sneak peek, and we're a little slow, so hop in there. You get yourself part of the VIP night out of the Rougarou next Friday for the 11th. Before we get you to the outside in, need to remind you about the folks over at NeuroJust. We welcome NeuroJust on as a great new partner this week. Learn more about them at neurojust.com. What is NeuroJust? They're a different way to treat anxiety and depression. Nothing wrong with talk therapy, right? There's nothing wrong with sitting down with someone, to be sure. But how quickly does that turn into a quick prescription and you just expect the problem to just go away with pills? This is different. This is transcranial magnetic stimulation. It is FDA approved, a non-invasive treatment. Walk through it at neurojust.com. Learn who it's for and what it takes to get it done. It helps people with treatment-resistant depression, those who have not found relief through therapy or antidepressants, those who might, fear some of the side effects of the prescriptions or them just not working at all. Learn more at neurojust.com. They offer this TMS therapy right here in Baton Rouge. It's catching on around the nation like wildfire. Seeing this come to Baton Rouge is amazing, and I love teaming up with the folks at NeuroJust. So check them out at neurojust.com. All right, outside in, let's go. Where are you going to find fireworks over the next couple days outside of Baton Rouge? That's where we're hitting up here. How about Donaldsonville and Prairieville today? Donaldsonville's Independence Day celebration, 4 to 8 p.m. at Crescent Park, featuring music by Big Frank and Lil Frank. Over in Prairieville, you got 4th on the 3rd. That's going to be the Independence Day celebration on Lakeland Drive, starting at 6 p.m. The fireworks will start at 9 p.m. Up to False River, you got Lake-a-Palooza on the Sandbar going on starting today. The festival runs all the way through July 5th. Now, tomorrow, stepping outside of East Baton Rouge Parish, there's the Plaquemine Hometown Celebration on July 4th. This is at the it's at the Plaquemine Community Center and Pavilion. Over at New Roads, they've got their 4th of July celebration going on tomorrow. That is going to be 4 p.m. fireworks at 9 on False River in New Roads. Port Allen's got their 4th of July festival starting at 5 p.m. in downtown Port Allen tomorrow. Morgan City doing 4th of July on the lake starting at 3 p.m. tomorrow. The town of Livingston has their 4th of July celebration starting off at 5 p.m. Johnny Sartwell Memorial Park for that one. Zamurray Park for Hammond tomorrow. Natalbany Creek Campground for the 4th of July in Amite. And then there's also on the 5th in Walker holding their celebration at Hutchinson Park at 5 p.m. And that's a pretty comprehensive look at everything going on outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. We'll see you Monday. Crap. All right. I ran long. Did not ID the station. That's on me. Somebody call and report me to the FCC. I'll take it and go to jail. Does anybody still work at the FCC?
Is it just made up?
I don't think so. I think Elon fired everybody. But we're still going to make you do the quarterly report.
Yeah. I mean,
Guys, we got to get out of here. Y'all have a great, safe, wonderful 4th of July. We will see you on Monday. On Monday, I'm going to have 1 week and a day, and then I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
Counting down to the RV trip.
Nice.
So, yep. We'll see you on Monday.